Now this week's video could be a little bit on the nerdy side, but I'm hoping you're going to stick with me anyway. Many of the tech companies have get-togethers for their developer community. Google has I/O, Facebook has F8, and Apple has WWDC, the Worldwide Developers Conference. Now, most of these events pass by without much fanfare outside of nerdy circles, but WWDC sometimes gets wider press attention because of non-geeky announcements. And 2020 could very well be one of those years, if the rumours are true. Now, WWDC kicks off with the keynote being held on Monday, the 22nd of June. It's in the evening UK time, so will be my early evening viewing. I told you I was a nerd. And this is where Apple's CEO and general nice guy with glasses, Tim Cook, will, with help from others, talk about the many new versions of Apple's various operating systems. This is usually mainly a software-focused event. I mean, it is for developers after all. There'll be the unveiling of new versions of macOS, iOS, that's the operating system on your iPhone, iPadOS, no guesses what that one's for, and various other lesser-known system updates for the iPad, Apple Watch, HomePod, and all the other stuff. However, it's the chance that there will be rare hardware announcements that are getting the nerd juices very much flowing this year. And there are two big rumours that may interest non-nerds. First up is a redesign of the iMac. Apple's desktop computer has had the same basic design now for many years, and although there have been changes, perhaps the biggest being the move from white plastic to aluminium, the design language of the computer hasn't really changed all that much. It's got a huge Bruce Forsyth of a chin, but that may be set to change, as this Monday it's rumoured that a brand new iMac could be on the way, with a design style more akin to the iPad Pro. It could have thin bezels and no chin, although this mock-up on the forums on Mac Rumours is a nice one with a smaller chin, kind of less Brucey, more Anton. Internally, the new iMac is rumoured to be losing the Fusion drive, which is a combination of a traditional spinning hard drive with a small solid state element, and going full SSD, just like my iMac Pro here. It could be an awesome update. Fingers crossed it happens. The second rumour is a huge one. It may sound really geeky, I mean really nerdy. However, stick with me because this could be epic for non-nerds just as much as it's making me get all dizzy with excitement. The rumour is that Apple are going to ditch Intel CPUs for their own custom designed ARM-based processors. Now, you don't need to know what this really means in all its nerdy goodness. However, for mere mortals, it points out faster, thinner and more regularly updated Macs. Apple already makes their own chips for their mobile devices, and these are widely accepted as stonkingly good. That's a technical term. Creating even more powerful versions for their desktop and laptop lines could be amazing. We could see performance from Macs that will blow our minds. And from a practical point of view, this does throw up problems. The software you run on your computer needs to be able to talk to the language of the CPU in the machine. If the Apple swaps it out for a totally different one, then no software will run. Everything needs to be rewritten. Now, Apple have a track record here. In 2006, they switched from PowerPC processors to Intel, and the announcement was made, you guessed it, at WWDC. For many developers, it was an easy switch, as it simply meant opening your code in Apple's development software, Xcode, and recompiling it. Simples. However, not all software is developed using Apple's native APIs. Larger programs, like those from Adobe for example, are far more complex and use libraries optimized in native x86 code. That's Intel's processor, not ARM. When Apple shifted to Intel, Adobe took time, understandably perhaps, to get native versions of their software out for the new CPU. And back then, they didn't ship nearly as many programs as they do now. However, on the positive side, Adobe have built Photoshop for the iPad, an ARM-based tablet. So for once, they look like they know what's coming and are planning for it. We can only hope that's the case, although I don't care personally because I shifted to Affinity some time ago. Now, is all this just wild speculation? Well, yeah, frankly, yes. However, we only have a few days left to find out. Apple's keynote will be streamed this coming Monday, 22nd of June, worldwide. Let's have a serious nerd fest and wait to see what they say. I hope you've enjoyed this WWDC keynote preview. If you like this video, you know what to do. Please subscribe if you want more of the same, and leave your comments below so we can keep talking geek. Thanks for watching. See you next time.